go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 122nd episode of the GeekVerse podcast.
Two.
You know, I'd love to do the intro with the outro and not get interrupted.
I just feel left out. Like, you always get to do the intro. I just want to be heard.
Well, you know what? In July, I'm going to be taking an extended holiday, so you guys can do as many fucking intros as you want.
I'm going to fire a bunch of people. I'm going to choose what we do. It's going to be great.
I am the Brendan Fraser less Travis now.
I am the ancient Egyptian Dylan Muss.
I'm the mummified Taylor Field.
And if
that was smooth.
Yeah, it was.
Normally it takes us like a couple minutes.
Because we're the Trinity. We're the Trinity. What did he say? Did he say that's what she said?
He said I haven't had a smooth one in a long time. What the fuck, dude?
He said it was smooth, so I'm like, oh, it was a good nickname.
Well, I want to make an announcement that Taylor Field is not joining us on any of the E3 casts anymore. We just made an executive decision now.
You're fired.
Yeah. That's why it's so smooth. This is the Trinity right now. The two T's and the D, you know?
The two T's and the D.
I love putting two T's and the D.
It's my favorite website.
If you haven't guessed by our nicknames, if you haven't guessed by the title, we are doing a review for the reboot of, well, one of the many reboots.
The 18th installment.
No, that's something else.
That's the Amityville.
We've had a lot of mummies. We have the original black and white Boris Karloff version of the Mummy. We have Brendan Fraser's Mummy, and now we have Tom Cruise's version of the Mummy. Mm-hmm. That not only is a reboot of the Money. Yeah, that's the sequel. Mummy Money. Not only is this a reboot to The Mummy, this is the first chapter in setting up the Dark Universe, which they do a great job of making sure you know.
They make it incredibly clear.
Yeah, spoilers, the Universal logo turns in the Dark Universe, and it's just like, I'm not going by review, but it's just like if Marvel's flipping the pages when they did like the Marvel thing, Iron Man, and then it was just like, The Avengers coming 2012, and it was just like, you guys are really putting the cart before the horse here, you know? So, what, Taylor, let's start on a positive note. What did you think about The Mummy 2017 edition?
What if he hates it, man?
Yeah, you know,
we have yet to review a movie that he hates, and even Man of Steel that he says he dislikes. He bought a fucking steel case for.
I guarantee it's not actually steel.
It is. I'll take a picture.
It's hard plastic.
It's probably steel.
I'll take
a
picture.
Man of Steel.
I'll take a picture.
That's what they say.
You could doctor it like that Assassin's Creed Empire thing. Come on now.
So I think it's getting very exhausting liking these movies that you guys probably don't like.
You don't know that. We haven't talked. First of all, you shouldn't spoil things.
Okay, fine. But I'm pretty sure they can tell by how excited you sound by introducing this movie. Anyway, so
don't worry about us. Just you do you, man.
I quite enjoyed this movie. I think it was.
You always. I quite.
Yeah, but I didn't just enjoy this movie. I quite enjoyed this movie. You know, it went a little bit above what I was expecting because I didn't have a lot of hyper excitement for this movie. When I was thinking like, oh yeah, we got The Mummy this week. Yeah, okay. Like I'm definitely more of the Brendan Fraser original Mummy kind of fan. Mm-hmm. And even so, like that movie, like even though it's horrible CGI and stuff like that, it still does a great job at like freaking me out at times, like being a little bit scary, but at the same time being comedic. Mm. So like for me, this movie had those kind of moments, and I was not disappointed.
Cool. I think it was like kind of bad, but it wasn't that bad. Like I think there's some moments in this movie that I quite enjoyed, and I think the big problem was I was never really like fully invested in it. I never really felt like entirely captivated. Like I think it felt like I was just watching a movie rather than being like part of it. I guess maybe that sounds a little extreme, but yeah, I don't know. I think my biggest problem with it was like the script. It just was super cookie cutter. I think half lines I could predict what they were. And the story, I don't know, the story had some good points, but for the most part, like, they set up in the first, 5 minutes what pretty much happens for the next, hour and a half, so you kind of already know what's happening, I suppose. So overall, I didn't really like it, but it could have been worse, I guess. Travis? Travis is busy doing something.
No, just,
crunching some numbers, doing some math.
Pretty much. So, yeah, I've been back and forth. This movie trailers have been kind of back and forth, I think, as for myself. Some trailers like, oh, that looks good. Some trailers, I don't know. Looks a little too action-adventure for me. I love the original Mummy back in the day. I haven't seen it in a while, but black and white Boris Karloff. It's good. It's a fun. It's obviously it's a little dated, but like it's really good for original movie. I love Brendan Fraser's Mummy. I think it's one of the best action adventure. I don't know. It's a good time, and I love even the second one. I love, but that first one I extremely love. I don't know if it would make it, but if I made a top 15 movies, it could make in there. Just because I find it so enjoyable.
50 or 15?
50, not 15.
I was like,
maybe 100.
That'd be a stretch for the top 15.
But still, like, there's something so enjoyable about that movie, and I've watched with the characters and the writing, and it had elements of horror. So I had hopes about this because I love the Mummy franchise in general. Had bad luck with monsters so far this year for myself. Did not like Kong Skull Island. Did not like Alien Covenant. I can luckily say that I like this movie. So that's why, Taylor, you don't assume because you're making an ass at you and me. I don't think it we have the benefit, I guess, of seeing that like the Rotten Tomatoes score is 27. So right away I'm like, okay, expectations a lot lowered. So I went in. I was just kind of hoping to have a good time. I did for the most part. I think some of the flaws are in the writing. I think some of the flaws are in... Isn't a really spoiler, but some of the character moments are kind of dumb. I think the humor kind of is like... Out of 100%, hits about 25% of the time. There's some stuff that I actually laughed at, but it was very minor. I thought most of the humor was really forced and didn't work for me, along with some characters. And I thought it progressively got worse. And like I said, I still like it. But I think it started the first act I was really invested in, and I liked the backstory of the mummy and seeing these characters and how they found it, like the usual mummy stuff. And the middle was like, okay, it's all right. And the ending I just kind of found went on for too long. There's certain battle scenes that just feel like they're going on, and it wasn't anything too exciting. Like, minor spoiler, but like lots of the mummy's moves are just throwing people against walls, and you can only watch that.
Throw people against walls.
Yeah, and you can only watch that for so long. So, and then the other thing that I think some people have taken it to task, I don't think it bungled or like was horrible, the setting up the Dark Universe stuff. I think they did maybe a bit too much of it in this movie. For some people that I had heard before, it was like, oh, they do so much. I thought they did maybe a little bit too much. They should have made it more about the mummy movie and then kind of set the Dark Universe stuff, because you look at something like Iron Man, that's an Iron Man movie first, and then the setup's down the line. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in this movie that I think could have been spaced out in other movies, where it felt like, hey, we really want people to like these monster movies, so Russell Crowe's going to give you exposition for like a long time. And I felt like only a few of his lines were character stuff. The rest of it was always just like telling the lore, and it was alright, it's cool, there's some Easter eggs, but I felt that went on too much. So like I said, I think you would enjoy this if you're just listening to non-spoilers. We didn't say that, but we'll go into our spoiler thoughts in a second. But I don't think it's a movie I would recommend to go see. I think it's a movie you could see, you might have a good time. I had a good enough time. I don't regret spending the money because of, one, I ended up liking the movie, but two, I do actually want to see more of these monster movies. I want to see The Bride of Frankenstein. I want to see Javier Bardem as Frankenstein's monster. I want to see a Dracula when we get to it. I want to see Creature Black Lagoon, like all this stuff. Johnny Depp's Invisible Man. I don't know about that, but like, I'd still be interested in it. You know, I'd like to see a trailer, and I love monsters and horror, so I'm going to see every one of these movies. So even if this movie's not amazing or even great, I have hope for it down the line. Look at DC right now. Started very rocky. Wonder Woman's killing it. We could be 3 movies now talking about, man, Creature of Black Lagoon, great movie. So that's why I want to see more of these. So any non-spoiler thoughts before we get into the spoilers?
No, I don't think so.
So I'm sorry. That blew me away.
Well,
I'll never assume again, ladies and gentlemen.
And what would you guys say non-spoilers? Taylor obviously would say see it. Dylan, what do you think? What would you...
I don't think you need to see it in theaters, no. I think you can wait, for sure.
All right.
You're not going to miss out on much conversation if you don't see it right away, right?
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a big spoiler movie that you got to worry about getting spoiled on.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going into spoilers. Start with the man of the hour. They're banking on a lot of them. Looking at it right now, Tom Cruise.
Let's talk about Tom Cruise.
Yeah, what do you guys think about Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise, he was pretty good. I just feel like there wasn't like a whole lot of character development for him. Like he was a very basic character, but I think that was more so just like part of the script, and they made him that way, I guess. This is kind of jumping to the end, but I guess it's sort of like a twist ending that he gets cursed, or I guess he curses himself sort of and becomes the mummy. I like that switch of the character.
Is he the mummy?
That's what I thought.
I'd say that's how I interpret it too.
I guess it's just the way what was going on with his teeth at the end, and like he had like a different look. Like for some reason, I thought they were making him like the Wolfman because like he had these like sharp teeth when he yelled at her, and then he did that thing where he was,
I guess
like,
I didn't
in
really
the
think
shadows
about it
hiding
as
himself.
like because the dark universe. I just kind of thought this is the mummy movie, so he took that mantle. But
he's got the god of death inside of him, though. That's what they said. So I mean, he is technically a mummy because that's an Egyptian god.
Like I said, we're in the spoilers territory, so you have no chance. I did not like the whole ending because I don't understand. So him being a good person is what makes him able to control this thing of death. Like that's pretty much the sign I got when everyone's like, "You can make a change," and she's like, "You saved me." Like they show all these flashbacks. Just one, this movie big con for me. They flash back to stuff way too much. Like they show the origin of the mummy way too many times.
You see the scene a lot.
Yeah, and there's stuff like when Tom Cruise's dead friend says like, "You're the chosen one. She chose you," and all this. Like 20 minutes later, Russell Crowe gives him the exact same speech about it. Like I felt like
and then it flashes back to Russell Crowe saying it.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much repetition, but I didn't understand the ending. I didn't think they set that up good enough for him to stab himself, and then he can control the powers of death. I didn't like that.
I think I don't know. I didn't really. What am I trying to say here? I think the reason I liked that part, even though I don't think the execution of it was great, but I liked what they did because that was the only thing in the movie that was like kind of unexpected. Like in a lot of other movies, he would just take that dagger and that gem and just smash it into the ground. And so that was like the one moment that kind of went off track a little bit for me.
See, for me, it was not unpredictable because I thought he was going to be revealed, and some people have talked about this too, to be like a Van Helsing or Wolfman or Dracula. The only reason is because it's Tom Cruise, and I didn't think, he's just going to be here to start this franchise and leave. I thought, he needs to stick around, so he needs to be some sort of monster or whatnot. Yeah. So for me, I kind of felt that was... and that, to me, it didn't hurt. Like, it was not... Because I found that didn't hurt. I didn't think they set it up good enough for him to become the monster. I like... He's great. I think he's one of the best actors in the world. He never phones in. I was telling Dylan in the car. Every bad movie you can look, he's great. I'm happy sticking around. I just think... Because how can he control this?
Yeah, I don't know why he... why he's the chosen one. Like, I don't understand... Do you know what it is, Taylor? Like, why is he
I feel like...
Well, she just chose him. I think that was literally it.
He freed her, so that's why she chose him. But in regards to him controlling it, I feel like it was just... Every time he was caught in a scenario where he would get pulled in this trance with the mummy, Jenny was always there to break him out of it. And so, even when he got possessed by that god of death, like he even said, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but then he freaked and that part of his, like, that demon came out and he was able to revive her. And just even then he said, like, I'll find you again. Like, I think she's kind of like that rock for him. Like, even when he said earlier, like, I was serious about my feelings for you, I feel like there is something there that just kind of grounds him.
I didn't like that because they went back and forth on that. If at some points they made it sound like they had just met, and at some points they made it sound like they were in a relationship, where I swear she said something like, I met you 3 days ago, or something like that. And it's like, so this girl that he had a one-night stand with is...
You had no reason to think that it wasn't serious, but then they make it seem like it was a joke later.
I would have rather them of... Okay, you could change the plot line. He doesn't need to steal her fucking map. I would have rather them have been married or something like that, because then it's like, okay, it's established, like, they have a relationship, they've been together for a while, but for me, this whole, like, they've maybe been together for maybe even, let's say, a month, and it's like, this girl is, like, so important to him, and he loves her so much that he can overcome this demon of death, and that to me was like, that was like, I felt like they just wanted him to be the monster, so they tried to think of some reason, but they didn't really even explain it that well to me, and that's what really bummed me out. That's what really bummed me out about the last half. I felt like the first half they were explaining so much, maybe too much in the last half. They were just kind of like, this is happening, and this is happening. It's like,
it seems like they just, like, got close to, like, a full, like, storyline, but then they kind of just fell short. Like, this is good enough, and they kind of just rolled with it.
Yeah.
And, like, that's why I said earlier that I just was never really, like, felt fully invested or, like, captivated by the movie, because I just felt like it kind of was going from place to place, and there was kind of a reason, but, like, none of it was that intriguing or anything. Like, you don't even need to do anything new. if you do something that like a storyline that's been done before and you do it well, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't even really do that, right? It was kind of, it was a little lazy, but it wasn't that bad.
I thought
right? That's the thing. Like it wasn't that bad.
See, I thought at the beginning they were doing it well. And that's where I did like Tom Cruise in this, because Tom Cruise, lots of time he'll just play like a really strong like action guy.
Yeah.
I like that he kind of was like at the beginning of the movie he's kind of selfish. He's out just for his own, and then we learn slowly that okay, he's actually a good guy and he makes sacrifice. So I think there was some character development. I think it was very minor, but I think there was some, and he played like kind of this cheeky asshole, which Cruise does, but this was a bit more, like he was a bit more about himself, so I liked that, and I liked the setup of them finding the mummy, even though that hole was so big, I think that town would have sunk in.
Yeah, that didn't really make sense.
That was no sense, but I thought, I'm trying to think of like where it turned. I guess maybe when they captured the mummy, that's where it turned for me, because up to that point I was liking it for the most part, except for what we'll get into later. I fucking hate the CGI zombie mummies so much, like her minions
really?
That she would. Yeah,
I didn't dislike it.
I didn't like the look of them. They're too CGI for me, and they're too.
I got used to it pretty quick. I think maybe it's because we just watched Pirates like a couple weeks ago, and that was like super heavy CGI, so I'm used to it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but I thought the first half did it well, and like I said, the middle stuff. I even thought, okay, this way to like Ty and Jackal, that was good. So I thought they were doing good for the most part. Then the end, it kind of just got very paint by numbers and just very
I think
lazy.
I was a little bit like they started out with a like origin story sort of thing,
which I liked a lot.
I thought it was fine. It
killed a baby.
It explained all the things that it needed to for me, someone who doesn't really know anything about this previous storyline of this character. But I didn't really like that beginning part. And then I felt that it like picked up a bit for like a while, and then it kind of dropped off again. So yeah, I didn't really like the beginning a whole lot. Like I guess that whole like action scene in that little village. Like I didn't really like any of that. I thought it was pretty kind of boring, honestly.
We saw a baby's blood in this movie.
On her face.
Yeah. But yeah, because we were talking about Cruise.
And that's her sister, isn't it?
Yeah. No, brother. It was a baby boy.
Oh,
maybe that's why.
Right.
The whole setup there.
Yeah. Classic.
Taylor, what do you think about Tom Cruise in this movie?
Tommy.
I think if they picked anyone else, it wouldn't have worked very well. I feel like Tom Cruise. I feel like Tom Cruise is
what if
really
it was Nick
great
Cage?
for it. Maybe in a perfect world.
He'll be in the Monsters universe.
I think Tom Cruise made it better, but I don't think this is a role that only Tom Cruise could have played this role. And I love Tom Cruise. I think he's amazing. I think he's really good in this movie because he's just doing his Tom Cruise stuff. Like he's solid. But I don't.
A for effort.
Yeah.
He tries.
I wouldn't say like he's the only choice. I just say like he's like really really high up there, and I'm glad that they went with him for this role. Because definitely there's other people that they could have picked.
Brendan Fraser.
Why'd you like him?
Yeah.
I thought that just like I'm so used to seeing him in like serious kind of roles for the most. Too, with like a paranormal kind of twist to it. I mean, he was in a vampire movie a long time ago, but I don't remember.
Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, I don't think he's really ever been in a kind of monster kind of theme before, so it was cool to see him.
It's rare. Not many people, actors.
It's not the most common genre.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really liked him. That opening sequence, I thought it was really funny when he was, they're like, oh, we'll just sneak in. And then his friend was just shit-talking the whole time. I was cracking up.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Okay, then let's get in. I was not going to go in that order, but let's get in that friend. I did not like him at all. He was, I didn't like that he was the comedic relief, and I felt that it wasn't,
pretty obvious.
It was not working for me. I didn't like all his lines, like while they're running, and just like, this isn't a good idea, Nick. Told you, Nick. See, it's a bad idea. Like, all his lines just felt like the annoying video game, like, side character you're with when they're just yelling stuff, and I hated him, and when he died, I was like, okay, this is good because they killed him all. And then when he came back as the fucking, like, talking guy, which is a trope that's been done in a fucking horror movie. They just stole it right from American Werewolf in London. And I did not like him at all. And I actually like that actor. I remember him from Jurassic World, and I like him in that. But I did not like him here. It was nothing against the actor. I just did not like him as a person, and then when not as a person, but did not like him as a human.
Wow.
And then when he
as a human. Wow.
And then when he came back as like the dead like friend guy, didn't like that because at the beginning they made him seem like he was kind of shady, and then even that rules didn't really make sense. And then it was like, oh, he's helping Tom Cruise, and yeah, didn't like it. And then at the end, of course, oh, thanks for bringing me back to life, Nick. And I was like, oh fuck, like why? Why does Tom Cruise need his friend? Like just go on adventures, whatever it is.
Good friends, man.
Yeah,
so he only shot him 3 times.
Well, I didn't understand that. They're good friends. He told him not to shoot, but he like shot him like twice. It was strange. That scene was strange. The whole scene, like, I get that they would want to try and apprehend him, but the second he stabs that sergeant, you shoot that guy in the head.
That scene is after he stabs the sergeant, and then they kill him.
Yeah,
and then they just like go off and do something else. Like they don't even bother to check if the sergeant's okay.
No, they went to talk to the captain.
He might not be dead. Like you should probably go check on him, but they're like, ah, fuck it, he's dead.
He only got stabbed
because the engine started to fade out, so I think
not yet. It wasn't instantly.
Still not.
They had some time after he was dead where they could have easily gone over and checked on him.
And not both Cruise and her need to go. It'd be like, hey, you check him out, and
I guarantee it, because that's all I was thinking about in that scene is like, why do they not care about this sergeant?
I totally forgot.
He just got stabbed once. Like he's not necessarily dead.
I would have left him too. I totally forgot about him.
And it sucks because like he's actually a really, really good actor.
Oh, really?
And when he was announced, I was like, oh man, Courtney B. Vance is in this. I'm such a fan. And then when he got done dirty that,
like when they're taking off on that airplane, like why did there need to be a sandstorm there? Like what is?
I think that was like
really awesome.
I think that was to show that was like the impending doom. Like I think that was maybe a course of the Mummy. Like oh, it's like classic, like coming her way. So yeah,
I just thought it was an unnecessary addition.
Let's speak about the woman of the hour, the Mummy, played by Sofia Boutella.
Sophia Boutella.
I'm gonna start. She's the best part of this movie. I'm biased because I'm a fan of her, but even then, I'm just a fan of her from one thing, and that's Kingsman, and she just plays Sword Leg Girl. It's not like I'm like, oh, she's one of my favorites. It's just I saw that I was like, oh,
the character's name is not Sword Leg Girl.
It is no. Like I saw her, I'm like, oh, she's really good, and the way she carries herself outside Hollywood. I've not seen Star Trek Beyond. People say she's great in that. I just was saying this to Dylan before. I'm like, I think she's gonna be a big star. She has that quality, and when I see her on screen, she has that. And this, to me, she does a great job. She doesn't have too much to work with, but I thought she did good at being scary. I thought she did very, very well at doing like kind of the sexual undertones they were doing with Tom Cruise and her. Like anytime she was like licking him or doing this stuff, like. I like that she came off very seductive, and I thought she was great. Because with the Mummy, all she really has is her facials, and I think she did that well. So I think she's going to be a huge star. If Ben Affleck wasn't sold, I'd want her as Catwoman, but I don't think that would work out. But I thought she was great in this movie. For the Mummy, it's not like great where it's like, this is one of the best villains of the year. But for the Mummy, she did it good when other people could just be there, like, just making a mean face. You know, like, I thought she brought something to it, so... I think she's a big star and thought she did a good job.
Taylor?
I feel like she really did a good job, actually. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Surprised.
Personally, I don't know what it's like to portray a 5,000-year-old dead person. But
we all know you try it
sometimes. Yeah.
In the mirror.
I feel like she embodied, like, a mummy pretty good in this film. Like...
Well, to me, to cut you off, what I worried when we saw that first trailer, I got very much Enchantress vibes. It was not that. It was not where, oof. Like, I don't mean Enchantress at the beginning when you and Kirkland liked her. I meant, like, when she went into Uber Goblin. I was like, this is really lame. Like, I thought the Mummy could have been that, and she didn't let her be that. So
I think she saw Suicide Squad. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, you see Suicide Squad? That's what not to do. So I'm going to go the other way and be very subtle.
That's smart.
Yeah. All movies should do that.
Is that all you had to say?
Yeah, she was a really, really good mummy.
She was a really good mummy. I think I liked her enough. I don't think she had really like a whole lot of time to shine, right? Mm-hmm. Like kind of like what you said. Like she was kind of just slowly walking at people, and then she would throw them at a wall. And then there was a lot of those scenes where she's like sitting on someone and like licking them and stuff like that.
But I thought she did that well. Like I thought that. Yeah. I thought the scenes...
No, I think so too. I think she did well for what she had, but it was like. I wanted to see more of her. I think because I think she was pretty. I think she was pretty good, and I think
I was saying like she's pretty. All right. Hey, I'll say it. She's smoking. So
she's pretty. You could say that. Yeah. I think I wanted to see more. See like what else they could have done with it.
Well,
I don't know what they would have done, but I kind of just like when she like dies at the end. I felt like I wanted more. right? Like I was like that. Okay, that character's done now. Like I didn't feel like fully justified.
They hinted that maybe she wasn't fully done because they really emphasized.
I mean, she still has a physical
sarcophagus.
Yeah, I think she could come back, and I'd like her to. I would like her to come back. I also think her not being in that much is the it suffers because of the Dark Universe stuff. Because in that middle chunk, that's when she gets locked up, and it's just Cruz and Crow talking a lot. So that's where
she was locked up for a while.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like that kind of where I was like, okay, I'm getting interested. I like the story. I liked the backstory of she's training to take over her father's like in Egypt or whatever. Like she's next in line to be queen. She's a princess right now. Her mom died in birth, so there's no one else left at this point. Her dad sees some like young girl that he's attracted to. She has a son, so the second that son's born, everything that she worked towards is gone. Not saying she should go kill everybody, but from like a villain standpoint, like okay, I get where they're coming from. She feels robbed, and then I feel like it's a jolt of she comes back, and I like the scene of her. I liked her power of sucking people's like life out. I like that because they made, like I said, they gave the mummy kind of sexual undertones. And then right when the mummy gets like tied up, I feel like she's just gone for quite a while. Even though she has scenes with them, she's chained up, and like lots of the scenes are flashback scenes again of stuff we've already seen. Like there's so many scenes of her cutting her father's throat. It's like I got it.
That throat gets cut many times.
That was a lot like the original too. Like the same thing with the mummy sucking out like the life out of the other like living people to kind of.
A lot different though. But she wasn't French kissing him though. That's where I think they were going for the
sexual undertone.
Yeah, like I had a different clever word, but it's gone, so I'm not that clever. But yeah, like they did it in a different way, and that's what I like. They embraced that was a female mummy, and they didn't just be like, oh, we cast a female just to be different. Like they changed it up a bit, which was good. So kind
of like how you point out, like with Wonder Woman, like you can do more things with like a female lead.
Well, I think you can do different things. I won't say more. The same way I wouldn't say you could do more with the men. I think you can do different things with a male opposed to a female. Obviously it's been 10 years ago, but we just did the like man mummy. You know, like there was 3 movies of Brendan Fraser try something different, and I thought it was good, and her perspective was good, and this whole thing about the chosen one. Not the chosen one, but the chosen was good, and I thought, I liked her spider powers. I didn't like that the guy got bit and no one checked on him. Like he's shaking, he's constantly hitting himself in the head.
I'm wondering if it's like, okay, he was cursed, kind of, so that's why he didn't say anything. But like, if I was in that situation, I'd be like, guys, something's fucked up.
But they're on the helicopter already. His veins were like different colors on his neck, and then every time we saw him,
but it's like bumpy, and they're kind of distracted, and they're kind of far away. It's like.
I don't know.
I give that a pass, but I don't give a pass that he doesn't say anything.
Fair enough.
And he just passes out. And
I don't give a pass to that scene. I don't give a pass to because characters are kind of dumb. Tom Cruise does the way they do the mummy. He just shoots this latch and it comes out. I was like, okay, I guess that's how we're gonna unleash it. But I didn't have so much of a problem. They're dumb horror movie characters, I guess. The part I didn't get is when they had the mummy tied up and Russell Crowe was talking about what they're gonna do, and he's like, oh, we find. We research, we destroy or whatever. He said he had these lists of things they do.
Cheesy.
And then Jenny's like, you're going to destroy it? Like, there's so much history here that we don't know. And it was like, you've seen what she can do. She literally sucked innocent people's lives out and turned them into fucking mummy zombies. And she's like, you can't kill her. Like, that to me was the dumbest moment. That's when I really was starting to check out of like, okay, the movie, they're classic movie characters at some point, a little bit dumb, they make their mistakes, but then I thought they were getting worse and worse. And to me, it's like, why would you be opposed to him killing her? Like, I get you want to know about this cool history, but like, she could kill you and everybody in this room.
She really emphasized though that this is her life's work. Like, and
I don't give a fuck.
I know.
That's
but
selfish.
When you put yourself in the shoes of like a person like that. You have to think like, okay, they spent their entire life learning everything about this kind of civilization, that they would prioritize their work above that, and those people can be dangerous.
I don't like that. To me, that's a shitty character. To me, for her to be like, it's my life work, so it's worth putting lives at risk. It's the same way in Man of Steel of Superman not saving his dad because like, oh, people know you're Superman. That's your fucking dad. Get over it. It's the same thing. This is the fucking like planet, and you're just be like, we shouldn't kill the mummy, like she's really like, and she started like talked about her like she was like a sympathetic character to the mummy, and then the mummy reveals like, or Tom Cruise reveals that, oh yeah, you killed like your brother and everything. So it's like she wasn't a good person. It wasn't someone that made a mistake or something happened to her and then they mummified her. It's like she was a bad person before this all happened. It's like, no, we should keep her alive, and that was really lame.
I don't think that's like the worst like plot point.
I do.
I understand. I think what you were saying, Taylor. I understand why she wouldn't want to kill the mummy. You know, that's a lot of science you could do there. You can only do so much science if she's dead, right?
But lives are at risk.
Yeah, but look at the technology they have. I mean, the only reason that she got out of those shackles is because someone like hit a. What happened again? Someone.
She did that. She summoned a spider, and the spider went in that guy's ear. Remember?
Okay, is that what happened? Yeah.
So she got. It's not that there was some malfunction. It's not like Jack went, aha! Like she still got out of it. So think about 5 minutes earlier. You kill the mummy. None of this happens. Like those innocent guys in there don't die. Yeah. None of that happens.
But I mean, you know, put her in like a big old cage instead of a four little shackles. I think you could lock her up and keep her for science.
I think they
caged her. She can speak killer English too, which is mildly convenient. So you can just ask her all sorts of questions.
Well, she adapted because it was your English. Your language is
simple.
easy. Yeah, simple. Yeah, so that's why she.
Wow.
They always say it's simple.
Yeah.
Do they?
Usually.
I hear English is confusing because we have like silent letters and shit.
No, to the mummy.
And there's a lot of exceptions. Exceptions.
Taylor, you have any last thoughts on the mummy overall?
Not the movie, but the character.
Not the movie, but the character. You know, she was pretty good.
Okay, what do you guys think of the look, actually? Like, throughout the movie? Because I know when we saw the trailers, I think we were all kind of iffy on it. But
I still don't love the final look when she's 100% generated and she just kind of has the rags. I liked the look of when she was chained up and still rotten, and that's where I liked the look of, okay, the rags. Sometimes the rags kind of look like they're formed to her body. I liked that. But when she was, like, other than seeing, like, Sophia Patel, like, as an attractive lady, like, oh, good, she doesn't look all young, like, yucky and, like, moldy. Like, I didn't still love the outfit. I was like, okay, like, it's kind of, like, cheap, like, if you feel like it's that girl at the party who wants to be the slutty mummy, you know, you're like, okay, I get what you're going for, but, like, that's kind of lame. So,
you're no Sophia,
what?
Basically.
What?
Whatever the lady's name is.
Sophia Patel? What about it?
I was making a joke, never mind.
I'm not saying she's a slutty mummy.
Listen back. You can
okay, but anyway, so I liked the look of when she came out of the sarcophagus and she was sarcophagus.
My name is Daniel
Sarcophagus, and then she was like very like bony and whatnot. And I liked the way she moved, so I very much liked the jokes, but reverse, I liked her 75% of the time, but then 25% I was like, meh, I can pass. I liked her eyes. That was cool with the two pupils. So
2 pupils.
Yeah, I don't know how I felt about her bangs, but whatever.
Hey, we take those. Mm-hmm. What'd you think? Well, that's kind of like the Egyptian thing, isn't it?
I guess it's just like
that's kind of what the Egyptians.
It made her too good looking. I felt at the end, like it felt like she
too
was
spicy.
She felt like she was like a model.
Not dead enough.
No, like it felt like the model.
Travis likes them dead.
Oh, I love dead girls.
Oh God.
Oh God. Yeah.
You want to get us out of here? You got to transition.
Yeah, I gotta be.
Speaking of dead girls, let's talk about Jenny because she dies.
Jenny from the block, Jenny Myers, my favorite character.
I thought she was just fine, not good, not bad. I felt like she was just there. There was times where I was like, I don't actually.
I'll say she was on the bad side.
Okay, for me to finish my point, I just almost don't know if we need a love interest other than we need at the end for Tom Cruise to be like, I'll do it for love. But I thought she was just meh, nothing memorable. Why?
Yeah. I just thought she was like incredibly boring. Like. I understand that she was important for the plot, and she wasn't just there as a plot device. Like I think she.
I think sometimes she was. I think she was putting.
I think she had enough like going on. I just found that she was so bland.
I just felt there was a lot of times where Cruise would like be fighting, and she's standing there like she wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah, but like even this like the start of the movie, the reason they're exploring these places is because of her research to some capacity, and then. When they get there, she knows like all the shit that's going on there. And
the beginning was strange though, because she shows up separately. The sergeant showed up separately, and Tom Cruise. Like I didn't really understand.
But didn't she mention that she's part of like some sort of like other organization or something?
Well, that's what it was. Russell Crowe's Prodigium.
Yeah. So she like I don't know. I guess I don't know exactly why she was there.
But I don't know why any of them were there.
Weren't they looking for that?
Well, she had that map originally, was looking for that, but it got stolen, and Cruise was looking for that. I didn't understand Cruise's tie with the sergeant and the army.
They were supposed to recon the site in Iraq for insurgents looking for civilians.
So weren't they like scouts kind of?
So he was treasure hunting at the same time?
Well, it's kind of like the thing, like, soldiers in Iraq kind of like, they'll take things like weapons and sell on the black market as their military.
I didn't know that.
Oh, are you just throwing
the
North American... Oh, a movie! So not in real life. So you're just throwing the army under the bus right now.
I'm using that as an analogy.
Wow.
I have a lot of respect for the military.
All respect to all your vets out there, people serving right now.
And using that as an analogy, that's what Tom Cruise was doing. They were
an example, not an analogy. That's not
whatever
an analogy.
you call it. Whatever you call it.
A metaphor.
A metaphor. There you go. No. Basically, I don't fucking know.
Whoa! You dropped the fucking.
Wow, he's angry.
Wow. He's gonna summon a sandstorm in a second.
He's a part of the military with his best bud, and
best bud.
But at the same time, they're trying to make more money by finding these mummified relics or whatever, and then selling on the black market.
I don't think they said mummified. They said something like...
I don't think they're looking for mummified relics. They're just looking for
that's
old
what they
things.
found, though.
I know, but you said they were looking for mummified. They specifically said, like, not antiques, but something. They used a term, nothing to do with Egyptian, because at one point he was like...
Antiquities.
Antiquities. Yeah. At one point he's like, don't hit me with your Egyptian mumbo-jumbo or whatever he said. Like, okay.
I don't think he says mumbo jumbo.
He did say mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
that's why I said
when you're writing a script and you don't know what word to say, let's put mumbo jumbo in there.
Well, because that's why it was the bad thing and good thing. I liked the stuff of she had mind control on him, and I liked when he drove and he didn't know that he accidentally drove back to her because she had him in a trance. I liked stuff like that. I didn't like when people be like, "There's a curse on you," or "This is happening." You'd be like, "No, that can't be real. Like none of this is happening." But it's like, you've been having visions for the past half an hour. Like, get over it, buddy. Something's going on, So it was like a catch-22 of like sometimes I like what they did with the visions, sometimes they didn't. Want to talk about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Let's do it.
I was a fan for the most part. I'm not even the biggest Russell Crowe fan. I liked his Jekyll and I liked his Hyde. I think the character came off kind of dumb, but I liked his performance. I liked his actual Hyde too. His Hyde was kind of felt like this like dirty, like sneaky individual, and that's what Hyde is. If you've like read the books or you've seen any version of Dr. Jekyll Hyde, like that's why I always hate like some like NBC when it's like Jekyll and Hyde, and they'll make Hyde like this like the good-looking surgeon, and he's like really smooth with the ladies. Like that's not Hyde. Hyde is supposed to be this really like disgusting guy, and he came off like that. His look didn't change too much. He just kind of got really veiny in his face. I wish maybe something would have happened. Sometimes he kind of turns green. I don't know. I always said I was fine with it. The only other thing I didn't like is that the way we got to Jekyll or got to Hyde didn't make sense because it just felt like this is why I wish they maybe would have saved this for a different movie. Why, like, how many times does he have to take this cure? Why is he not more on top of that? Like, the second he's like, ugh, and then he continues talking. The second that happens, if you hear, oh, you should right away walk over. You shouldn't just carelessly, like, oh, yeah, and we're talking. Like, right when he feels like, oh, I should go, because they have a fucking huge lockdown. So that was my way. I felt there could have been a better way to make him turn into Hyde, where I felt was really dumb, where it's just like, he literally, how it happened is he dropped the container. And it's like, okay, that's lame.
I kind of got the gist that his men didn't even know that he had that going on, because when he
they clearly did.
Well, when he twitched, then you see his like bodyguard kind of give him a look. I kind of thought, oh, do his people not know it? Is he keeping it a secret because they're monster hunters?
But to me, that didn't make sense because why would he be taking that formula in front of them? And right away when the door got locked, he says to the janitor, like, you can't go in there.
Well,
like,
that part,
that
I clued in. But it was just that first part where his bodyguard looked at him kind of suspiciously. I thought maybe he was keeping a secret.
Well, it's probably still kind of weird.
Yeah. But even then he should be like, hey, Jackal, you should get on your medicine. I think you're looking a little
They should probably all have a gun that just has it handy. They can just shoot with it and a quick antidote.
But then, like, I felt like when we met him with Tom Cruise, he took it right away. And I felt like maybe in the movie, only like 12 or 15 minutes had passed, and he's already taking it. Where at the beginning of the movie, we saw him walking around like the fucking tomb area fine. So
he took it before he went in, and then again as soon as he left.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I liked the characters. The setup was maybe not the greatest. And they also want him to be the Nick Fury of this universe. Like, he's going to be the guy that, like, rounds them all together, right? So, I don't know. I'm interested to see him again.
He's kind of on the same tier as the other, what was the girl's name in this movie?
Jenny?
Yeah, Jenny.
Beloved? Wow, you thought he was bad.
Yeah, I just thought, not necessarily bad. Like, I was just, like, bored. Like, both those characters to me were just, like, boring and...
Well, do you
Just
feel
bland.
like it's because I felt like 85% of his dialogue was all exposition. It was talking about
that's probably it. Like I can't really tell you anything about his character other
No.
than he has this obvious what would you call it?
disease.
Yeah, you call it disease.
That's why I liked Hyde at least, because he was just like saying remarks and being like really nice. He's like, you and me, like you can turn the thing of death, and we will be a great duo. Like we can pick up chicks all the time. Like that's what I liked. It was like some kind of dark comedy. Where with Jackal, he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna tell you about the mummy. I'm gonna tell you about the stone. I'm gonna tell you. It was just, and then that was the problem too. Maybe that's why you're bored. I felt like he was telling us stuff we already knew. Like almost everything he had said, other characters had told Cruise or we'd seen through flashbacks. So it would have been better.
Just like reaffirming things, I guess.
Yeah, like it would have been better if we knew nothing about the mummy in those flashbacks, and then that's how we learned through Crow, and then it's like, oh, then we see them right away. But it's like we've seen this already many times.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, what do you think about Jekyll and Hyde?
I wasn't expecting them to be in the movie at all.
It was announced.
I didn't look at that far into it being announced. I saw like 2 trailers.
It was announced like when they started filming this movie. Like Russell Crowe will play Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No.
I could tell you didn't, Taylor, because when they were like, "Oh, Jackal," Taylor was like, oh, I literally heard him gasp. I'm like, man, you clearly didn't look at fucking IMDb. Because
and I'm glad I didn't. I didn't want to get spoiled.
Okay.
Why would you look? You know, leave the surprise for the movie.
It worked on me. I definitely. I liked it quite a lot actually when he changed, and like I thought he was gonna get like a lot like bulkier and like complete change, like his skin color like look more kind of like villainous, but
Not
I mean
really.
he looked like a really dirty kind of opposite version of what the polite version of what he was, which I thought was cool too in that kind of aspect because it had like more of a modern kind of look to it, and I just thought like the stuff he was just shouting out was like very much just like as you said, like it was just it kind of fits the persona and it was very sneaky. I think Russell Crowe really did a great job.
Yeah, like, this is not to be offensive, but for me they kind of made him feel like he had Tourette's in a way. Like he was just yelling out random stuff. Like I said, that's not to be offensive, but that's very much what it felt like. Like sometimes a few lines had some reason, but most of the time he was just yelling out stuff that was just like complete madness or like very strange.
Mm-hmm.
So
in that one scene, my favorite Easter egg was the fact that when Jenny was trying to break in and she whacks the guy.
The Book of the Dead.
The Book of the Dead.
Even though I don't think that is the Book of the Dead. I think this is the Book of the Anubis or whatever they say, because the Book of the Dead is black. They may retcon that.
Well, it was the Book of the Life, I think, because it was the lighter version.
But they don't think they call it the Book of the Life. I think it's the Book of Anubis or something in the Brendan Fraser ones.
Yeah.
But like they could retcon that and just say that's the Book of the Dead. That's the only thing that was good in that scene, where like the Easter eggs, like we saw the creature of Black Lagoon, like you saw its claw, you saw what was the other one, you saw
the vampire skull.
Yeah,
you saw the vampire skull. There was one other one I thought maybe there was a Frankenstein one or Frankenstein's monsters, because it looked like there was like one skull that had like holes in it, so that could have been like minor bolts or whatnot. So there's a few things there. That's a scene that I want to watch again, because there's one I'm already forgetting. And it wasn't the vampire one or Dracula or whatever it's going to be. Like, there was another one I saw, like, oh, okay, like, I see what they're doing there. So that was kind of fun. Like,
it's definitely a scene you'd have to pause and kind of just analyze, because there's a lot of stuff in, like, vases or whatever.
But I felt like that could have happened, and then Dr. Jackal could have talked a little bit about Prodigium, and then the mummy breakup could have happened a lot sooner. Because I felt... I don't know how I feel, because I liked seeing Hyde, but at the same time, I don't know if it was needed for this movie. Like, I don't think it killed the flow of it, but I don't think it helped it. I thought it was this kind of point where it felt like a different movie, but then I liked seeing Hyde, so I don't know how I feel, but I'd have to see it again, honestly, to see how I feel a second time, because I was like, okay, I like that this group has kidnapped the mummy, and that's how they're working it in, but we just spent too long there, I think.
I think it was to tie in with the mummy escaping, because when you have Hyde tripping out and you have all the people having to react to that, at the same time you have the mummy doing her thing, so it kind of adds to the mummy being able to escape a little bit easier.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I was gonna say we've talked pretty much about story. I'm trying to think about more like pros or whatnot I could shout out. Score wise, there wasn't really anything. I thought the score was just kind of basic. Anything. You know, what are you gonna?
I got an awesome pro. Okay, like the filming parts, like when the sandstorm hit. We were talking about that, but like when the plane broke apart and it's just you see Tom Cruise's perspective there, and you see the AC-130 going down to the ground. I thought that was awesome. And then how it emphasized, it didn't just totally cut out those 2 soldiers either that were in there. It showed one of them get sucked out, and it really emphasized on the just the cinematography of that scene was just really, really well done. And then there was another part too, I think. Oh, it was with the ambulance, when it was like Tom Cruise fell out and it just rolled right on top of that, over top of him. It didn't crush him. I feel like there were just those close moments that were really cool. And then again with the train, like
I didn't like those moments.
No,
I thought they were
too
really
cheesy.
I thought they were really threw cool. Out of the way and like would jump in a window. And plus, I brought up later. It's a con, but I didn't like the look of those zombie mummies. I thought they was really lame CGI. Like I thought they just looked like very basic, and especially because like. To me, the mummies and like even just the Brendan Fraser ones, when she was like, "Oh, my warriors awake," which doesn't make sense. Why were those her warriors?
What do you mean?
Like when she said something about her warriors awakening, they were like the British guards.
Well, because they were all the corpses, so she could just resurrect like the corpse, like because they're all
mummified. She already like sucked them or gave them the kiss of death or whatever.
No, these were the Templar Crusader guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I don't know. I just felt like they're all just like sunken in faces, looking gross. Where like. In the other mummy, you had like your slow ones, and then my favorite ones when they had those guys with those hats, and they were like really fast. And they had like weapons. Like I felt like they were very, very generic and had nothing fun about them. So that's what killed. Anytime they're on the and they to me it was one of these things where it looked like they were fighting CGI creatures. It didn't pan out where it's like lots of times that's where I give Marvel credit. Lots of times I feel like CGI and the actors mesh pretty well. This was one of these things where it's like Tom Cruise and the girl that plays Jenny like pushing.
That's
something.
Actually the scene at like near the start when they had to get those spiders off them. That was some pretty funny like them just trying to like freak out.
Yeah, and that's I felt like that ruined it for me a lot too. Maybe they were guys in mocap suits, but it didn't feel like that. So
I liked the CGI. I thought it was good. I understand that they weren't anything special. Like they were pretty typical, just like undead sort of creatures. But I liked them enough. I liked the scene when Tom Cruise was like punching through them and kicking through them, and then his like leg would get stuck.
Yeah, I liked that.
I thought that was pretty clever, and just like it's like almost like a little hint of comedy in it too, right? So I like that aspect of it. Well, I like the scene when she like was first rising, and you see like the tissue and like muscles slowly growing on her, and she's like really crippled at first, but she like starts to stand up. Like I think that's the part for me where I was getting into it, because like I said, I didn't really like the beginning part. Wasn't really captivated. I thought it started out really slow, but that was kind of the scene where I was like, okay, I'm starting to like this a bit more.
Yeah, no, I liked the CGI on like the actual mummy. Her soldiers didn't do it for me, but the one part I did like, and it worked for me humor, was at one point when Tom Cruise kind of just like curb stomps the mummy and it explodes. He's like, oh, like he just acted gross, and I liked that. I thought it was good, you know, because most of that humor didn't really work for me. That one I liked. So, and that was the problem too. I think that I don't think they meshed the tones well, and that's what I was talking about earlier with like Brendan Fraser's mummy. That to me is a thing that meshes like the comedy, the action, and like horror aspects really well. Where I felt like this was like, when it was horror, it was completely horror. And then when it was comedy, it wasn't completely comedy, but there was more comedic moments back to back. I didn't feel like it was a good blend of things. I felt it was put in there very strangely at times, and I just felt it not as bad as Kong Skull Island for me, but like a mini version of that, where it's like you can do a joke, but the moments sometimes that don't need a joke.
Yeah,
like
it wasn't very balanced in that sense. Like it seemed like a priority on like the action adventure sort of side, and then the horror was like it wasn't really that good. There was like some jump scares, but I didn't really feel creeped out and ever like the mummy herself. Like she didn't really feel that creepy. I guess she was more of like a powerhouse sort of enemy. And then the comedy, a lot of it seemed really forced. Some of it sort of landed. Some of it was more subtle, but the balance was definitely quite off. Yeah.
Well, like the moment where, I know Taylor got a kick out of this one, but when she, like, at the very end lifts him by the throat and he's like, this isn't going to work out, and it's not me, it's you, and then she chucks him, and then Taylor loved that line. And that's where she's
I almost vomited, man.
Yeah, I was like, that wasn't needed, and then that whole, and that's the thing I was talking about at the end. Like I said, the beginning I really liked, middle I was like, okay, and then the ending I thought was pretty poor, because that water, I hated the thing there. Okay, so there's a scene for, if you've seen the movie, Jenny gets kidnapped, they take her under the water, Tom Cruise swims, runs out of breath, has to go back up, and then just goes back under again, and she's just like floating there, and he fights off some mummies, and she's just floating there, and he gets up, and she's dead. And for me, that scene felt like, I know it was probably only like 3 or 4 minutes, but it felt like an hour.
It's
like,
probably because that was like in all the trailers.
True, but it felt awkward of him going up and down. Like, it was just like, just keep him going. Like, he can't die. Like, he has a curse, so I think he's fine underwater. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the last fight scene with the mummy was very meh. Like, she just threw him around, and I didn't like any time she was facing a main character like Jenny. All these other characters, she would just suck the life out of them. But with Jenny, she would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna choke you," and like, "I'm taking him from you," and it's just like
she tried to.
No,
twice she tried to suck.
Yeah, but like after
she
took
have to
her,
really try to do it.
After she grabbed Jenny and then like walked away from her. Like, why would you just not grab her and suck her right there? Like, that was the thing. Like, the plot. Oh yeah, that's a movie I want to see. No, like, I felt like the plot needed the mummy to be less powerful when they want the characters to survive, and then when the main characters was gone, the mummy's like, "I'm wrecking shop." At the end, when she's having such a tough time with Tom Cruise fighting, what happens is Jenny's dead, right? And then the guards pick up Tom Cruise, they throw him to the ground, and she whisks all the guards away, and they just kind of like disappear, right? At the moment when he has that sword, I would think, and she's worried he's gonna break the crystal, I would think that's the moment she'd be like, "Okay, come back and like help me out here." You know, that was the thing. It was like she was weak in the most like inopportune times, and that was the thing. It never felt like they overcame anything. It just felt like the mummy was dumb. Where something, I don't want to compare, but something like Brendan Fraser's mummy, when the mummy brings in those like really big warrior ones, Brendan Fraser finds a way to beat them. Where they don't really ever find a way to beat the mummy. To me, like I said, it just feels like the mummy beats herself, and that was kind of lame, you know. So yeah, that really did not like the ending.
On the note of like the other CGI mummies, I feel like once they got to like the Crusader ones, they weren't as bad, and I feel like they really got fleshed out as being kind of scary when the scientists turn around and you see the crypts kind of opening, and then you just see them getting dragged away. I feel like that at least gave them a little bit of a good kind of highlight, because I feel like at the other point when the mummies just kind of just pop up on the ambulance, or when they grab Tom Cruise in the church, I feel like they were all right, but they didn't really have that kind of oomph to them. I feel like when they were coming out of the crypts and they were attacking the scientists, I feel like that really, it gave them that kind of mummy kind of aspect.
Yeah, and I didn't give them a mummy aspect, but it didn't like scare me or anything. It didn't make me like, "Oh, I'm fearful right now." It was just kind of like, "Hey, go ahead. They're coming and they're gonna come get the army," and yeah. That's what I felt like. This movie was very basic near the end, so.
It was very basic.
Do we have any more points or anything what we go over? I talked about the score. I felt the score was just alright. It was fine. Like, it wasn't bad. It didn't stick out, but it didn't, like, you know, I think there was a couple times like, "Oh, this is alright," you know, like above average, but nothing too. I think, once again, for me, it was the beginning. I felt like when they were finding the tune and whatnot, like, okay, this music fits, but after a while, it was just like, oh, generic, like, action, like, driving a car fast, fighting, you know, stuff like that, so, yeah.
I can't think of any other points I need to make about this movie.
No, I actually don't. Like, I've been trying to think. We go over cast, usually we did that. We go over plot, we've done that. We've gone over score. I'm trying to think of anything. Well, I'll ask you this. How does this, and this isn't, it's to do with the movie, how does this make you feel about, like, the upcoming universe movies? Like, how you feel going forward? This is their first chapter. What are you, like, does this make you excited? Does this hurt it? Does this not do anything to it?
It's not a great start, but I think I'm excited for more to come.
Yeah,
I think if they just, I think this is a good like stepping stone sort of movie, even though it was the first one. But I think they could really take this and just see, okay, what because some things they did good, right? Mm-hmm. So if you say, okay, what did we do right in this movie? We should do that some more, and you know what was not so great about this movie, and what can we adapt and change? And we already have established some characters, so we can next movie. We can already call back to a few characters and people will know them. So I think, you know, it wasn't the greatest start, but I think they at least set a foundation to at least make some fun movies. Because at the end of the day, these movies, they don't necessarily need to be like deep, you know, favorite movie of the year kind of thing. But as long as they're just like a fun time,
yeah,
that's all you need.
Well, that's all I got. Like, it wasn't fun the whole way through, but for me, like, it's showing my cards, but I liked it better than Only Covenant. I liked it better than Pirates. So for me, it got the job done. Like, okay, if it's not the worst movie of the year, you're all right. And for the film, I think as a start, it didn't kick the door down, but I think it gave it like a good knock, not a strong knock, but a firm knock of like, okay, like we may open the door to this. I'm just excited to see all those monsters, but my worry is I don't know if this is how it's going to do with the mainstream. Not even money-wise. I just don't know if people are going to see this and be like... Because the ending is very much... He can use his powers and go on to change the world. And it's very, very... That was my problem, too. The last 15 minutes, even with the mummy and him stabbing himself and becoming the mummy, it didn't feel like they wrote that as the movie. Like, that didn't feel like the end of the movie. That felt like... The whole ending felt like a setup for the Dark Universe. Right. Maybe that's why I didn't like the ending, because I didn't feel like we got an ending to like the Mummy movie, really. You know?
Yeah, this movie did seem like it was looking forward a little too much.
Yeah, and to me, I don't know if general audiences are going to be like that. Maybe they're just going to make these movies and have them loosely tied together. Like, maybe they won't even have like a big crossover event. Like, you'll have like Jackal in these movies. But other than that, like, maybe you'll have like a Cruise appear here, but maybe it's not going to be like, oh, and then in 10 years we're going to have like Monster Squad 2, we're going to have them all team up. Like, I don't know how people... I'll be excited to talk to people that have seen it that aren't us to be like, hey, do you like this? Because I feel like it's a movie where you watch, oh, had a good time, but I don't think people are going to walk out at the same point when we said it's not awful, it's not great, and I don't think people are going to walk out being like, oh, I cannot wait to see more of these, you know, especially because they probably aren't like us, or might not listen to this podcast and know that their plan is to make a bunch of these, so they might just think, oh, that was alright, Mummy.
What do you think the kind of timeline? Do you think they'll do one movie a year, 2 movies a year?
I think there's... I don't know if they'll go... I'll say like one every 2 years, because they're apparently...
Really? Okay.
The next one... I think they'll eventually try to get to one a year. I think the next one they're doing is Bride of Frankenstein, and I don't know when the release date of that is. So I think 1 to 2 years or one every year, but I don't know. We'll have to see how this one does. What about you, Taylor? I'll see. You're excited.
I'm very excited. Because, I mean, I love Dracula Untold. That didn't go anywhere.
Oh.
I love I think it was the Wolfman that came before that.
Oh, my God.
I love that one,
Those
too.
are some bad movies. Not the original Wolfman.
But then, you know, they never took off after that, so...
That's my worry with this
one. Did you get a steel DVD case?
No, I wish.
Well, that's your fault then.
I wish.
And Dracula Untold was supposed to be a kickoff of a universe, and it didn't happen. That's my kind of worry with this. That's just going to...
flop.
Be a fart in the wind.
Fart in the wind.
Well, I hope not, because
fart in the sandstorm.
I'm actually really...
Those can actually go far, let me tell you.
I'm really excited, because I would love to see, like, especially Creature of the Black Lagoon. He hasn't had... He's only been in the original. He hasn't had any screen time since.
Poor guy.
So I would love to see that.
We've had monster movie.
We've had enough Dracula, Wolfman, because we've had those remakes. So I mean, Frankenstein, Creature Black Lagoon.
Frankenstein, who's had millions of movies, like Dracula and Wolfman.
No, but not any recent like remakes.
There was 2 movies last year about Frankenstein. There was I, Frankenstein, and then there was like Victor Frankenstein. Yeah, that's Victor Frankenstein. And then I, Frankenstein with Aaron Eckhart when he's like a badass like Frankenstein. Yeah. Frankenstein gets made all the time.
Well, then I'll scratch that.
What about like Phantom of the Opera and a Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Hunchback is a classic.
Apparently they're in this universe.
What's his name again? Quasimodo?
I don't know. Is that his actual name or is that his Disney name? Yeah.
I think it's his name.
Has Invisible Man had any other recent ones?
No, that's been a while. We're getting that, so...
I can only think of like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, if that's the same one, or I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm excited. There's a bright future ahead of us for monsters.
Alright. Overall scores here?
Overall scores?
Rating, yeah. I'm gonna give it... It's very tough because there's 2 things. One, obviously, there's the average person, like a pass or a fail. But then there's the Rotten Tomatoes that is like a 60 or above. I don't know if it is like a full 6 out of 10, but I would give it a 6 out of 10 so I could say it's fresh. For me, I liked it enough to be like, you know what? I did, and overall, I think it was just because the ending portion I didn't like. I did have a good time. I liked it, so, you know, I actually don't feel bad. I'll give it a 6. If people ask me, hey, did you like the movie? I go, yeah, it has a lot of problems. You might not like it, but I liked it, so I had a good time. I didn't regret seeing it. At the beginning, I thought, oh man, we got maybe a great Mummy movie on our hands, and the critics are wrong. And then once it kept going, I was like, okay, I can see where some haters can form from this, so... Looking forward to see what they do in the future. I like monsters, so yeah, a 6 out of 10 for me, just an average, you know, just an average 6. It was fine. It was a good time. I don't know. I would maybe watch this movie again in like a couple of years because I love Tom Cruise, so I'm already biased that way, so maybe that's why I enjoy it more, but I would watch it again. You know, and I thought Sophia Patel killed as the Mummy, so I would watch it again. Not like in the near future, like I'm not gonna be buying a steel case of it.
Next Cheap Tuesday or anything?
No. Captain Underpants is what I want to see next Cheap Tuesday. So that's my thoughts. Liked it, had a good time. Not for everybody. Kind of a mess at times, but
fair enough.
It was good.
Go ahead.
Ooh. Well, you know what?
You seem surprised.
I was very surprised.
Well,
We're going like this.
There's two options.
He hates that he doesn't get the intro. So it's like, I'm reviewing it last and giving my thoughts last.
Fair enough.
I'm going to cut the podcast right after I'm done talking, so you guys don't get to say goodbye.
I was trying to remember what my score is for King Kong because I
10.
wanted...
No.
Did I give it? I don't think I gave it a 10.
You're giving everything a 10 this year.
I thought you're somewhere in the 9s for King
9?
Kong.
Okay, that's good. Because I would give
That's
this...
good.
My rating for
That
this is going to be lower. If I did go with a 9, then I'm going to go probably like a 7.5 for this. Because,
What?
like... I'm
The way
very...
you made it sound like you're gonna give like an 8.8 or an 8.5. You're like, no, a 7.5, a full almost 2 points lower.
Better than Assassin's Creed.
And I will give it a 7. Well, that's the conversation for another day.
I agree it's better than Assassin's Creed. I'll give you there. Yeah,
no,
much better.
No,
yeah.
I think so.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
I mean, it had Templars. I'll give it that, but no. I liked it, but it didn't. I feel like it definitely had a little too much in there with combining. Like, I like Dr. Jekyll. I like the nods to the other monsters, but I feel like it was just when you introduce that, you're opening up everything to a whole new world. That's why I like King Kong in the sense because they just left it in a scene at the end of the movie, and they just focused on the main character, which it should have been on the Mummy. That's what I would have liked. It was too much too soon. And granted, I love Easter eggs, I love nods, but honestly, just the book of Anubis would have been an awesome little nod there. And then like the creature, Black Lagoon hand. That's it. But they just bit off more than they could chew. I feel.
You saw Hyde in this movie. You saw
which I mean, I would have liked it if they didn't even. Maybe they just had him inject himself and they didn't even nod to it too much.
I thought I was gonna do that, where it's like, oh, he's gonna inject himself. And in future films, we're gonna see him turn to Hyde, but it's like, no, we're seeing him turn to Hyde right now.
Jumping right into it.
Okay.
So I mean, I will stand with like a 7.5. But I mean, that being said, like I'd say see it in theaters. I think it was pretty good.
Well,
don't see it in 3D. See it in 2D because it didn't have that much.
I took off my glasses in that. I watched the last 25 minutes without my glasses. It was actually fine because when the characters are close up to the camera, they're in 2D. It's the background stuff 3D, so I just watched the rest of the movie in 2D.
There was not really any 3D scenes, to be honest.
There's like the crows going through the windows. That was about it, I felt.
Yeah, I guess.
I will say on record, I think this is the closest Taylor's and I score I've ever been. I have a 6 and 7.5.
That actually probably is.
Yeah, because usually you're like...
You guys are mellowing me out. I gotta get back in my game here.
No.
You've gotten
gotta watch some bad movies again.
You don't know what a bad movie is. That's not a thing in your vocabulary, is it? As for myself, I would say one like quick positive is that like the pacing in this movie I don't think was great, but this movie is only like an hour and 45 minutes, and I think way too many movies these days are 2.5 hours long. It's like you don't need your movie to be that long.
And this movie still could have even been a bit shorter.
Exactly. So like this movie, I probably would have liked it less had it dragged on. So
another 15 minutes.
I was sitting there and sure I wasn't fully captivated by. At least I didn't feel like I was falling asleep or something, even though I am super tired. But I think when it comes down to it, like story wise and like character wise, the stuff was bad, but it wasn't like that bad. Like I've definitely seen quite a few worse movies. I've seen worse movies this year. I don't foresee myself rewatching this anytime soon. Maybe, before the next monster movie, but I could even...
I don't think you need
I might pass. I might not actually do that.
I think you look at Cliff Notes and be fine.
Yeah, this movie wasn't great. I don't think you need to see it in theaters. I think Taylor is not setting you up for a good time. You don't need to see it in theaters. Watch it on Netflix if it goes on there, or don't watch it until like I don't know. Fuck, it's on like cable.
If you like
or
monsters, I'd say we'll wait for Netflix. I could use it maybe Cheap Tuesday if you really really like monsters. But
I think part of being monsters is that it should be scary, and this was more action adventure than scary, at least for me. So. Yeah, this movie was just okay. Nothing special, but not that bad.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't the sold out movie at the theater tonight.
It was busier than I expected, though. Yeah, people are still seeing Wonder Woman, so
I mean, it was opening night.
The Behind Us was pretty full.
I don't know. Well,
I didn't
I
actually
guess. I felt like it was kind of dry. Like there was no one in front of
Kind of
us.
dry.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's not the way I describe this crowd. A little dry. I think you describe that as like their attitude, but not the attendance.
Hanging us high and dry.
Taylor.
This movie left me a little high and dry, I'll be honest with you.
Well, we'll never leave.
Actually, it left me like medium and dry.
You done? You got your analogy out? That's an analogy.
Oh, shush.
We never leave you high and dry. And Taylor, where can they find all our content that's not gonna leave you high and
It's
dry?
Well, if you want to find all of our antiquities, just get your good old Wi-Fi set up there and go into.
You already have it set up.
Well,
If you're
some
watching
people
this
might
live,
not.
yeah.
If they're listening to us, they have Wi-Fi.
Well, they might be doing data, which I don't recommend because that's expensive. So.
Sorry to YouTube people, we're not live tonight. I'm not sure what happened, but the video will be up when you're
Oh, we're
watching.
not
this
live
on-
streaming.
We are on Twitch, not on YouTube. YouTube is being a little funky right now.
Oh,
Oh,
funky.
sorry,
Funky
YouTubers.
fresh.
You know.
But we'll be
Anyways,
live
so-
on YouTube this whole week for E3, so
yes,
we'll make up
that'll
for
be
it.
pretty good.
Mhm.
So you know what? To find all that awesome live stuff, you got to go onto Google and then you got to type in Facebook and you got to go to GeekVerse Space Podcast in the search bar because you know we have all this awesome stuff and it's the most awesomest stuff out of anywhere that has awesome stuff because it's us and it's awesome stuff.
You could also save time and just put Facebook in the URL, and that would get you there one step, like one less click. So you'd save yourself still probably like 2 to 3 seconds, but
Yeah, but
if
if
they
you're feeling a
type
little
in-
lazy, do it Taylor's way.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of lazy people out there. I'm sure.
If you're a son of a bitch, do it Taylor's way. So
Wow.
yeah. So this weekend we when you watch this, there will be there will be a Friday 13th game review with us three. So lucky that you're gonna be seeing us three a lot on cast this weekend because after that,
I'm already sick of you guys.
yeah, I've been sick of you guys for the past year. So
Nice.
let's just
Jeez,
go
I've
for it.
enjoyed your guys' company very much. I'll just.
Aw.
No one ever enjoys your company.
Jesus.
today.
Get out.
GeekVerse Gauntlet, we had 2 matches dropping this week. We had a previous
2?
match of myself and Dylan versus Tyler and Taylor in Smash. It's a fun match,
yeah.
so watch that. And then this Friday night, I believe, it'll be Dylan versus Jessica Mario Kart. The winner is getting a title shot, and man, it's a good one. We recorded it. I've edited it, obviously, so I know what happened.
We did record it.
Yeah.
or else you wouldn't
But
be
like
watching.
I've been sitting on this one for a while. I'm very excited for people to see it. And then E3, if you're into video games, we are doing a podcast for every press conference. Like I said, we will be live streaming on YouTube. I'll get it fixed because, it was just
Yeah.
the Mummy, and I was like, I don't need to. Let's just do this review. But we will be live streaming on YouTube and Twitch. We'll be watching along on Facebook. I'm 99.9% sure, so that's why you should go to our Facebook page and Twitter and like it because we'll be live there so you can see our reactions. But Bethesda, EA, UB, Xbox, PlayStation, Digital Devolver, PC, we're going to try and cover them all. But the biggest ones we know 100% we are. We'll do a podcast right after, breaking it down. So yeah, the whole weekend next week I don't know when there'll be a newscast. I don't know what it'll be. That's why you like our Facebook and Twitter because it will not be boring. So thank you.
GeekVerse out.
Why is GeekVerse out your new one?
It's kind of fun.
Hashtag save
Sounds very
animal.
fun.
It is kind of fun.
It's like more fun than Zack Snyder fun.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Hashtag Zack Schneider fun.
Well, you know what? You'll get this rent when you fix this goddamn door.
Are we paying for ads this weekend like last year?